Hello everyone, Jeff here. I have some pretty exciting stuff to show you with the Antilia skill grid, but first just a couple quick announcements. With regard to these videos, it's been a little while since I did a video. It just wasn't terribly interesting to make a video about web development. But I think in 2020, I'm going to spend a little less time on the videos and try and make videos only when we've had a real milestone for Antilia, a real gameplay system that's nearing completion is interesting to look at. I want to avoid creating too many kind of filler videos where we're just talking about things. And I also want to try and make sure that when we make videos, we're not just doing a bunch of development work that's good enough for the video, which kind of happened a few times last year. I want to make sure that the gameplay systems are really robust and looking good before I make a video about them. And the time pressure of making a video was kind of working against us a little bit there. The other announcement is just real quick, the Antilia game website is now live. You can check it out at antiliagame.com. You won't be able to log in or join just yet. For now, we're restricting logins to just the developers, testers, that sort of thing. Right now, we're kind of building content and just testing the systems out. So still some more development work to do there, but it's at the point where I can use it for tracking my tasks and start collecting content in it. So I want to kind of move on. And this week I've taken that opportunity to work on the Antilia skill grid. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. So real quick before we dive into the new skill grid, I just want to talk about the old skill grid, which you might remember from a previous video, and why this was causing me some grief when I started thinking about it, things that weren't working for me. I do like the vertical column things, but what I didn't like is this unlock mechanic. It makes it all feel very one-dimensional. And in fact, as you gain XP, eventually I started to realize you're going to unlock everything, which means every character will end up being the same. Another problem with this is that it has to be manually laid out. All these specific, boosts and skills have to be laid out, which makes it really difficult to make this moddable, because if two modders change the same skill, you're going to have collisions and it's going to cause all sorts of problems. So let's take a look at the new skill grid and how it addresses those problems. So here it is. Here's the new skill grid. You'll notice it's a little bit simpler, and I've started it out with a blank. This is the fishing discipline. I've started out blank so that we can just kind of walk through this as you might encounter it in the game itself. Now there's a few things that are a little off here. I've got way more skill cards than you would probably have starting out in the game. You'd probably only start with one or two, depending on like what background and schools your character went. You might have a couple of these, and probably you wouldn't have any boost tokens yet. You would have this first slot will be available, so if you do have a card, like say, let's take cast here, you can just take it and drop it into the slot. So by dropping into the slot, this means that this skill is now available to me. I can now cast using the fishing pole. I've given myself an unreasonable amount of XP here, honestly, but it's just for demonstration purposes, so I can kind of walk through this. As you use your casting skill, you'll gain experience and you'll be able to unlock more slots. Now the idea is that these cards, you don't get them through experience. You get these cards by other activities in the game. The most common way would probably be by finding exploration markers and completing a little kind of task that revolves around each one. The markers will probably have something like a gemstone that's in the area near the marker that you have to do something to complete the marker task. So in something like a fishing biome, you might have the marker near the fishing pond, but the gem for it would be something you have to collect, 5 fish, and the 5th fish would come up with the gem. You'd get the gem, put it in the marker, it would give you a card. So you'd go in here, by then you would have fished a bit, so you'd be able to unlock a skill. Let's go ahead and unlock one of these. And you'll notice that this little number went to 2. Same with this down here, the level's now 2. And the level is just how many open slots, open skill slots you have, not the little bonus token slots. It's just these 9 that you can, unlock. Now that's another something to discuss here real quick, is the size of the skill grid will be different depending on your profession. And I think also you'll be able to pick a few skills, make them like your primary skill, and you'll be able to toggle that on and off. And if you make it your primary skill, that will also expand the grid to something like 5x5. There could be bonuses and handicaps that affect the grid size. So the grid size will change depending on what discipline you are and how your character is set up. In fact, I think for like a henchman character, you'll probably only have 2x2 for most skills, and maybe 4x4 for kind of like your primary skills. But anyway, we're getting a little derailed here. So that went up by 2, which means that if you use cast, you're now casting at level 2. So let's go ahead and just for, argument or just for educational sake here, let's throw something else on a skill grid. Say I got one of these net and trap ones, so we'll just go and grab one of those. So just by placing it there, I didn't level up or anything, but I can now place a net, use that skill. Next, let's talk about these bonus tokens, and they go between the skills. So I'm going to unlock this slot here. You'll notice that each of these cards have 3 little icons on the bottom. And these are the bonus tokens that play nicely, that get a boost from this card. So for argument's sake, I'm going to take this off real quick, and we're going to see what happens just with one card. So you see it can do strength, and I realize these icons don't read real well because they're so small. I'll sort that stuff out as time goes by. But you see it's got the accuracy token icon, so if I put accuracy here, you'll notice I get this little boost, +1, and now the level of the card has gone up to 3. And you can probably start to figure out kind of where this is going now, kind of what direction and how this is going to work. So if I put this in the middle, you'll notice both of them have it, so they both get a boost to level 3. As we continue to collect experience and unlock more slots, we'll unlock additional rows, and we'll be able to put cards in columns. Now I have kept the column system, but I've made it a little different. The columns are no longer fixed, so I can place a card in that slot. Let's just grab any card, and nothing spectacular happens there. However, if I put one of the same type, these are both pull and fly. I don't know if you can read that in the video. But if I put 2 of them in a column, or 2 or more, and I can have empty slots and I can have pull and fly, as long as I don't have any other kind of card, we'll get this additional bonus. So now you see this whole column is pull and fly, and you'll see there's a +1, +1. So there's actually a boost of 2 on each of these cards from the column boost. So this is up to level 6 already. And I think you can kind of get the idea at this point that as we play, we'll unlock more slots. That just boosts this all by 1 because we've gone up a level. Let's maybe do some bow fishing. And I'll just real quickly maybe kind of solve the grid, you might say, kind of give you a sense of how this will play. It's surprisingly not too difficult with 3 things to choose from. It's pretty easy to find something that's similar between most cards. And if not, you can just kind of move cards, you can drag them up and down, move them around if you need to get the boost you want. So I'll go ahead and unlock a few more of these, and we'll keep kind of adding to it. Just kind of keep solving the little challenge here. So this card's up to level 8, even though our base level is only 4. Using cast, we'd actually be playing at level 8, which is, I think, pretty cool. You'll also notice as I'm placing these, I'm surprised I just now am getting to mention this, these also affect, of course, your core attributes, and you can see those little boosts over here. So for fishing, because we have 3 boosts, you can see it's brought strength up by 1, perception up by 1, and accuracy up by 1. And this is there's a little rendering glitch. I'll get to it. It's in Toy Engine, actually. But let's go ahead and just kind of keep leveling up here. Maybe grab some agility, get an agility boost. Here we could use an energy boost. So watch our max energy, 50 out of 50. Now 50 out of 55. So same with, let's go ahead and unlock another one. We can do the same thing with max health, can boost it up. Another thing is if you don't like an arrangement, you can kind of refactor at any time, which is something I really love about this system, is you can always just move cards around, change, how you've got it set up. So it's real flexible. There may be something like a warm-up penalty if you move cards around. I haven't decided. Just moving the cards around is, in a sense, kind of not something you would want to do too often anyway. You kind of want to get these in a good order and then just kind of leave it alone. So we'll unlock some more slots. Maybe we'll learn how to place crab pot, which I think actually trap and crab pot, the images are backwards. But things to sort out later. Is there anything common between these two? No, there isn't. So if we tried to say boost creativity, you'll notice it links with this one, but not with this one over here. So I'm not getting that boost, which in some circumstances may be fine. You may not be too concerned about your level for jig or something. You don't really have to do this. It's a bonus, basically. It's a way to improve your skills even more. So let's go ahead and unlock more slots. And as I do this, I'll try and solve the puzzle a little better here. This one's kind of fun because it has some stealth to it. I wonder if there's anything else that has a stealth. I think there is. Snipe fish. So here's an interesting case. We have an unlock slot here. You notice I'll get the row bonus even though this one's blank. I think that's kind of valid because in cases like this, I may want to move this here and I don't have an appropriate card yet for this slot, so we'll just leave it blank. And we might grab another, say, perception bonus. And at this point, we've maxed out our level for this skill fishing. We're at level 9, that's as far as this one will go. Now there may be ways in the game to do something like schooling or something that would allow you to expand a skill. Again, like I said, there'll probably be something like primary skills that would allow you to expand this, have more slots. But in some cases that may be as far as you go. I don't want every character to become a jack of all trades. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do, is limit how far you can go in some skills while making other skills perhaps more open. So let's see if we can grab maybe fly fishing. Anything common between these two? Yes, agility. And let's take an endurance boost. And I think this is basically as far as this one's going to go. Now I could throw in spearfishing here, but I'm going to lose the bonus, the link bonus over here. Another thing to notice is because I have 3 in a row, notice that this bonus became +2 on each side. So that's a +4 bonus, +5, +6, plus the base level, which is 9, gives you 15. So at this point, this card's now active at level 15. So I hope that at this point you're kind of getting how this works. Just kind of a quick walkthrough. As you saw, it's really not too difficult to kind of do this, figure out what boosts you want to use. I'm just kind of looking at the skill grid real quick here, seeing if there's anything I can do to make these two match. In fact, maybe I'll just pick it different. What does this one do? Is it different? It doesn't help. That icon is really hard to read, the intelligence one. But for now, maybe just say, I really would love some max health, so I'm just gonna put that there. And maybe a strength bonus for this one. So that's a new skill grid, and each one of these has its own grid. A lot of these are kind of stuck on level 0 right now. I haven't created any cards for them, so there's nothing to do. But over time, I'll create more cards. And like I said, you'll get the cards by completing quests, going to school, exploration markers, all sorts of things like that. And there may be things like rare cards that are more difficult to get. You have to go to a specific marker and complete its test to get some, very unusual fishing skill or something. So lots of potential to this system. I'm really excited for it. I'm excited to see where it goes. And as you can see, I've already got all these boost things working. It's actually very close to a complete game system that we can put in the game and start using. So real quick, just to take this full circle, how this addressed the problems we had with our original skill grid here. One, the replayability of this is fantastic, I think, because depending on where you go and what cards you get, which in some cases will probably be kind of randomly pulled from a deck, you'll have a completely different experience every time you play, because you may not get the spearfishing stuff that you want, or you may get bow fishing or something instead. So you might start out with more bow fishing skills than you were expecting or the last time you played. Likewise, to extend the system is actually quite easy too, because all a modder has to do is create a new skill and a card that goes with it. They don't have to try to work that card into a grid or anything like that. They just have to provide the card, make sure there's some place in the world that's going to provide the card, be it a quest or be it part of some sort of random deck. So I think we've addressed those problems well, and I think it's a really cool system with all the little boosts that are kind of fun to play with. It's a little bit of a puzzle game now. So that's going to wrap up this update. I hope you found that interesting. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section down below. I love to hear you guys' feedback. So I'm really looking forward to using the new skill grid. I can't wait to get the gameplay biomes working so that I can run around the character and start collecting cards and kind of see how that all works together. I'm pretty excited about it. I hope you are too, and I hope to see you next time. Take care. A special thanks goes to this month's Patreon supporters. If you'd like to support the project, you can do so by visiting www.patreon.com/Antilia.